Now, this is the big elephant in the room, and I tried to save this. I didn't want to jump in with this, but we all heard about that scandal. Scandalous. Yes, Becky with the good hair from Full House, and what's the other one's name? Felicity from Housewives. We heard about you all. Apparently last month, federal prosecutors charged 50, or I'm sure more to come, including Hollywood actresses, business leaders, and elite college coaches, in a brazen scheme to buy spots in the freshman classes at an elite American university. Dozens of wealthy parents paid millions of dollars in bribes. Test scores were inflated, essays were falsified, and photographs were doctored in an illicit effort to gain entry to Yale, the University of Southern California, UCLA, very that, Stanford, Georgetown, and other big name schools. I'm sure they'll name later unless there's some special deal going on where they don't want to be named. According to an online New York Times article by the Learning Network. Now, this article received over 500 online responses from students, and one in particular that just said it's like a punch in the face or a punch to the gut that high school graduates and their families who struggle to borrow funds for their kids to get into, mediocre schools, cheating denies us the opportunity to teach and train the future doctor, teacher, and scientists who did not get into or can afford the tuition. His name is Archie from Long Island, New York. So do you guys think that the students knew that their parents were paying for their education, and should they be prosecuted as well?
Well, I think the students that were involved in the sporting aspect, like the students that were not even athletes who all of a sudden had their faces photoshopped as athletes, and they were playing soccer and they got these soccer scholarships or whatever, they had to know what was going on. They had to be complicit in some way.
Of course.
Because you had to represent yourself as a soccer player. You had to be aware so that you're not caught off guard if your parents are saying you did something that you didn't do. So you had to be part of that scheme. I'm just interested to see how many degrees or whether or not they're actually going to take back degrees from students that cheated their way into schools.
No, they're not. They're not, because remember we said about that scam that happened where that guy took the SAT for hundreds of students, and they said that they didn't want to disrupt the students' education by taking them out of school, and they also didn't disrupt his education, and they left him in school to graduate. So nothing happens. So I'm sure nothing will happen with the students, because they'll claim, oh, they didn't know. But if you're failing gym, if you're failing PE, phys ed, and all of a sudden you get a letter in the mail that says, congratulations, you class of 2020 for Yale University, you have to think, So I just think, Kyla, what do you think about that?
I thought it was crazy when I first found out, because I watched Lori's daughter, Olivia Jade, on YouTube.
Oh,
she's pretty popular.
Yes.
And she posted everything about her moving into her dorms, and and we all knew it was phony, because she said that she didn't want to go to school. She just wanted the party life. Her friend there's we're only going for the party life.
I don't know how much of school I'm going to attend, but I'm going to go in and talk to my deans and everyone and hope that I can try and balance it all. But I do want the experience of game days, partying. I don't really care about school, as you guys all know.
And it was a lot of people reacted in a negative way, because they're we're going for a career. We're not, we don't have, not everybody's millionaires, and that can just go to college just to party and then go back home when they're done.
Yeah, we don't have that luxury. So hopefully, they'll get to the bottom of that scandal, which they already have. But the elite, the upper crust, the upper crustation, more than likely it'll be pushed under the rug like everything else.
Well, honestly, I think this point has been made by several other people, but I really have to agree with the fact that it amazed me how people got so offended and up in arms, this hasn't been happening all along. This is not a brand new thing. People have skirted the admission process in any number of ways. I'm sure you can walk across any of the most prestigious campuses across the country and see whose last names are posted on buildings and plaques and everything else. So let's not pretend that this is not part of what the system has always been. I guess now it's being exposed because it's such I don't know why the exposure is such a big deal at this point. Maybe because of the amount of money that people were paying, or maybe because of how it was done. It was so blatantly just disrespectful and photoshopping
and
pictures.
deliberate.
Are you serious right now? you know, and the amount of I guess cheating the scale, they might have had it out for the guy that,
Yes.
you know, set up this whole business around having money donated to his fake corporation or whatever the ongoing thing was that tipped the FBI initially to this whole scam. But it just amazed me how offended people were and how many people just acted like this has not always been a thing.
Right, somebody who probably ratted them out was someone whose child did not get the results that they initially probably paid for, or they didn't have enough money to pay for, and were probably denied, you know, access to, you know, that whole scam, and they ratted them out. Probably so, but we'll never know, or will we? Get in those pockets of those people.